Hi guys, this is Miss Hooper again, from actual school again. I'm just popping on to do a picture book story time, and I have chosen The Smartest Giant in Town, and this is by Julia Donaldson, and the pictures are by Axel Scheffer. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same old pair of brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. "I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town," he said sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes. So he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds on the side, a pair of smart shiny shoes. "Now I'm the smartest giant in town," he said proudly. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf." I wonder what he's going to do. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his stripy tie. It didn't match his socks anyway, he said, as he wound it around the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf. "Thank you," said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." Oh, he looks very pleased with himself, doesn't he? George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in the storm. I wish I had a strong new sail on my boat." I wonder what he's going to do. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his new white shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail. "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." There he is, happily strolling along through the park. George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's our house," squeaked Mother Mouse. "It burned down, and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house." "Oh dear, I wonder what caused the fire." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his shiny shoes. "They were giving me blisters anyway," he said, as the mouse and the baby scrambled inside. The shoe made a perfect home for them. "Thank you," they squeaked. George now had to hop along the road, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. As you can probably tell, I don't know the tune. I'm just making up the tune as we go along. George came to a campsite. Beside the tent stood a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag." I can understand why he's upset. I wouldn't want to get in a wet old sleeping bag. "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his socks with diamonds on the side. "They were tickling my toes anyway," he said, as the fox snuggled in. It made a very fine sleeping bag. "Thank you," said the fox. George hopped on, singing to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a big squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "What's the matter?" said George. "It's the bog," said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry path." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his smart new belt. "It was squashing my tummy anyway," he said, and he laid it down over the bog. And it made an excellent path. "Thank you," said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town." Suddenly George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, "I've got to go back to the shop and I've got to buy some more clothes," he decided. He turned around and he hopped all the way back to the shop. Oh dear. But when he got there, it was closed. "Oh no!" cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he'd met on his way home. Then, out the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of the top. George took a closer look. "My gown!" he yelled. "My dear old gown and sandals!" George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. "I'm the cosiest giant in town," he cried, and he danced back home along the road. Outside his front door stood all the animals that he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. "Come on, George," they said, "open it." George untied the ribbon. Inside was beautiful gold paper crown and a card. "Look inside the card, George," said the animals. George put the crown on his head and he opened the card. Inside it said, "Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat is a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. So here is our very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town." Oh, look how beautiful that is. And that's the end of the story. Ah, he was so helpful, wasn't he? Fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed the story today, and I will see you very soon for another one. See you later. Bye-bye.